In this video, we're going to do a few examples where we need to solve quadratic equations and find all answers, including non-real solutions, so including complex solutions. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started with this first one. So I can subtract 10 from both sides. I'm trying to solve for x. So I'll get 4x squared equals negative 10. I can divide both sides by 4. So I'll have negative 10 divided by 4, which is negative 5 halves. Okay, so in the past we would be like, okay, well, square root, or, x squared can never equal a negative number. But if we take in consideration I, or the imaginary number, well, the square of I equals negative 1. So now we say, oh, well, I guess x squared can equal a negative number. So what we'll do is we'll take the square root of both sides, and we'll say square root of negative 5 halves. And then this will be plus or minus the square root of, so negative 5 halves is 5 halves times negative 1. So that'd be a square root of 5 halves times the square root of negative 1. And that square root of negative 1 is I. Okay, so now we have our solution plus or minus the square root of 5 halves times I. Now I should rationalize the square root of 5 halves, meaning I should get rid of the square root on the denominator. So to do that, I will basically multiply that by square root of 2 over square root of 2. So square root of 5 halves is the same thing as square root of 5 times square root of 5, or square root of 2, divided by square root of 2. So I'm going to multiply this by square root of 2 over square root of 2. Okay, and then I ran out of room, so I'm going to do this up here. So this is plus or minus the square root of 5 times the square root of 2. Square root of 2 times square root of 2 is 2, and then I. Okay, and that is plus or minus the square root. 5 times 2 is 10, so 10 over 2i. Okay, so that's a better way of writing your answer than to say the square root of 5 over 2. Okay, because this is no square root in the denominator. All right, so let's go ahead and we'll write our solution. So your solution is negative square root of 10 over 2i, and then square root of 10 over 2i. Okay, let's do one more example. Okay, so to go ahead and get started on this next example, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to distribute this x, and so I'll have 4x squared minus 2x equals x squared minus 1. Okay, so let's go ahead and bring all of our terms to the same side of the equation. So 4x squared minus 2x minus x squared plus 1 equals 0. Okay, brought those over to the left-hand side. Now 4x squared minus x squared is 3x squared minus 2x plus 1. Okay, this is not easily factorable, so we have two ways we can go about this. We can use complete the square, or we can use the quadratic formula. I'll go ahead and use quadratic formula to solve for x. So this is the quadratic formula. b minus 4ac over 2a. Okay, so b in this case is negative 2. So negative 2, that's negative, is going to be plus 2. Plus or minus, b squared is going to be 4, minus 4 times a, which is 3, and c, which is 1. And then 2 times 3. Okay, so I'll have 2 plus or minus the square root of 4 minus 12, right? 4 times 3 is 12, divided by 6. So that's 2 plus or minus, so 4 minus 12 is negative 8, divided by 6. All right, so square root of negative 8. If I'm allowed to use imaginary numbers, I can say that is the square root of 8 times I. All right, so now, let's see, kind of ran out of room there, so I'm going to go ahead and move this over here. So now I have 2 divided by 6 plus the square root of 8. Now, what is the square root of 8 is the same thing as the square root of 4 times 2. So I can simplify that a little bit. Okay, 2 divided by 6 is 1/3. And so this is plus or minus. And then the square root of 4 is, so looking here, I have the square root of 4 times this, I can bring the square root in. So it'll be the square root of 4 times the square root of 2. And the square root of 4 is 2. So 2 times the square root of 2 over 6. Okay, so now this cancels, and that's 3. So I have 1/3 plus the square root of 2 over 3 times I. Alright? Plus or minus. Okay, so now what are my answers? So my answer is 1/3 minus the square root of 2 over 3i, comma, 1/3 plus the square root of 2 over 3i. And that's my answer set.